When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry.
The U.S. prison population is growing to staggering heights. Since 1980, the U.S. prison population has more than quadrupled, from about 500,000 incarcerated individuals to well over 2 million. This number is far greater than our total prison capacity. Overcrowding has become so bad that certain states are resorting to drastic measures.
In other news, a divided Supreme Court ruled on Friday that California must proceed with the release of nearly 10,000 prisoners from its overcrowded prison system. Now, the Supreme Court refused to grant California an extension on an order issued by the justices more than 2 years ago for the state to release some 10,000 inmates from its overcrowded prisons. The High Court's original May 2011 ruling held that congested conditions in California's 33 prisons amounted to cruel and unusual punishment as defined by the Eighth Amendment.
Many people speculate as to what should be done about prison overcrowding, but not enough people focus on the cause behind it. Unsurprisingly enough, the suggested solution is almost always the same.
New HuffPost YouGov poll out on the death penalty, and I found the results a little interesting. 62% of Americans favor the death penalty for people who are convicted of murder. Only 26% are opposed. The specific breakdown here is 87% of Republicans support it, 58% of independents support it, and 51% of Democrats support it. So you have a majority in every single category. They also say that lethal injection was the most agreed upon way of carrying it out. 54% of the population in total support it, 44% of Democrats, 50% of independents, and 79% of Republicans.
This may seem like a solution, but the fact is that violent criminals only compose about 48% of the prison population, and not all of these criminals have committed murder. In addition, it doesn't solve the root problem.
Okay, good. What's the problem?
I'm glad you asked, Brad. Before I discuss what I theorize to be the cause of prison overcrowding, I feel that it's important to see what others feel that the problem is.
If you had to guess, how many prisoners do you think we currently have in the United States?
Between 1.5 million to 2 million prisoners.
I would take a guess around 5 million.
5.23 billion.
At least 400,000 prisoners.
It's
over 800,000.
In terms of total U.S. prisoners, excluding parolees and those on probation, the closest answer was Kyle's. The total U.S. prison population is roughly 2.4 million. When I asked my friends why the population was so high, I got some very diverse answers.
What do you feel is the cause behind our overwhelming prison population?
Too much violence in today's movies and video games.
Alright.
I'd say that the incidence of crimes in the United States is a lot higher than it has been in the past.
Sometimes the punishment doesn't fit the crime of it, so they stay in longer.
Maybe it's the technology. The increase in technology has also increased our ability to catch the crimes, so I would attribute to that.
When the government made drugs illegal.
That last answer is the closest to my theory. In terms of functionalism, prisons serve to house those we feel pose a threat to our way of life. However, in this modern age, threats are no longer solely physical. Leo Tolstoy, a renowned author, once said that all threats consist in some people forcing others, under threat of suffering or death, to do what they do not want to do. With this mindset, legislation has been passed in the last few decades to prosecute any potential nonviolent threats, particularly computer hacking and drug dealing. Therefore, is it the crime rate that is increasing our prison population, or is it the fact that more acts are deemed illegal now? Charles Thomas, a criminologist, states that changes in sentencing provisions have drastically increased the probability that a person arrested on a drug charge is going to do time. The very same action is taking place against computer hackers as well. If they do not present a physical threat, they have the potential to devastate someone's life. Functionally, our prisons are becoming increasingly more crowded to hint at potential threats to our well-being, physical, financial, or otherwise. This legislation is joined by another mandate, the Three Strikes Law, which imposes harsher sentences on repeat criminal offenders. The irony behind this law is that a majority of these three strikers, as they're known, are the nonviolent criminals we now strive to incarcerate. These very same criminals are the ones being released back into California society. That's right. The very same legislative body that deemed these individuals as harmful to society is the same legislative body that declared that they can be released back into society in a pinch. Ultimately, prison overcrowding is due to the U.S. prison system serving its function a little too well. There is no denying that our nation does an excellent job of detaining potential threats.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and learn the golden rule. So why are you acting like a bloody fool? If you get hot, then you must get cool. Bad boys.
The function of Congress is to establish what is legal and what isn't legal. The function of the police is to apprehend those who commit illegal acts. The function of prison is to house those who have committed these acts. If the alternative to prison overcrowding is a world in which criminals roam free, then I'd say prison overcrowding is the lesser of the two evils.
What do you feel is the cause behind our overwhelming prison population?
Grape Kool-Aid.
What do you feel is the cause behind our overwhelming prison population?
Sex, drugs, and alcohol.
I can't tell if you're serious or not.
Not.
What do you feel is the cause behind our overwhelming prison population?
50 Shades of Grey.
Ashley!